Hey, it's John and Mike, brew-dudes.com. It's another homebrew swap exchange. What number are we up? Like 17 or something like that? Probably 10, right?
Yeah.
10, okay. I pay attention to our channel. I'm not just a content producer. But tonight we have a couple of brews. And is this the first one we're doing a couple of brews? Tasting?
We had one other viewer send in.
Oh yeah,
and we did a couple.
That's right.
We did pair up a little bit.
So I
found it interesting. We normally just do one, but I figured these both have some like fruit and flavor addition themes. So I figured we would and nice labels.
Yeah.
So I figured why don't we just taste them both?
Okay. So tell me a little about who this is from and what is this all about.
This is from our friend Matthew. Let's see, where's Matthew from again? Does he say where he's from here? I don't remember where he's from. He calls his brewery the Wrecked Brewery. Prepare to get wrecked is what it says on his label. He's got some pretty cool little labels here. See if I can get that closer to the camera later, or I'll probably.
Oh, he has a birthed on date.
Oh, birthed on date. Yes. Awesome. So he sent us two beers. He sent us a beer labeled as Orange Kolsch, which I presume to be the lighter colored one.
Presume.
And then thankfully he sent us a darker beer, which is called a chocolate cherry porter. So that's how we can easily tell them apart.
All right. Well, let's stick with the Kolsch first.
We'll go lighter to darker.
Lighter to darker. Sniffing this off, you have a little bit of orange coming right off the nose. It's, as Mike would say, not unpleasant. No, it's actually, it's slight but present. Meaning it's not overwhelmingly. It's like, oh, this is an orange beer. It's just, if you say this is going to be an orange Kolsch, I should perceive something.
Yeah, there's definitely
and it's subtle.
A subtle orange character there.
Yeah,
it still tastes like beer. I mean, because that's the problem when you start adding certain flavorings. You can kind of go too far sometimes. Yep,
and it's there in the aftertaste. It's there in the front as you start to taste it. Tell me more about why. I mean, I guess he's using Kolsch yeast. The clarity is awesome.
The clarity is awesome.
That is great. And it's light. It's light.
These are bottles filled off of kegs. I assume because he makes mention to an empty keg in his email.
Finishes nice.
The basic recipe for this Kolsch is 8 pounds of 2-row, 1 pound of flaked wheat, 1 pound of German wheat malt, half a pound of honey malt, our old friend honey malt from years ago.
Yeah.
A little Hallertau at 60 minutes, a little Hallertau at 20 minutes, and a little finish of Cascade at 10 minutes.
Huh.
And he puts half an ounce of coriander in there at 10 minutes, and then a few halos. You know those little...
they're like
clementines.
Cuties.
Clementines.
Yeah.
So a few of those. I don't know if it's the whole thing in there, if he crushed it up, if he peeled it, but that's what it says, a few halos. So
well, that works.
That's great.
Huh.
And you're incorrect on your yeast guess.
No, wait.
Yep.
What?
Yep.
What do you use instead?
USO5.
Okay.
Mash at 155, ABV is 4.75.
It's kind of a high mash temp. I would think it'd be a little bit lower because it finishes really dry. It's light on the palate. It's refreshing. It's nice. I mean,
It is very dry.
I mean, I guess if I'm thinking of my memories of Kolsch, that yeast character is not there. It is more of an American ale. But why wouldn't you just call it an American ale or something, or American blonde, orange blonde? How about that?
Oh, orange blonde.
Hey! How about that?
I think it's a phenomenal drinking beer. It's a phenomenal drinking beer. It's beautiful. Oh, you're already done. It's super clear. It's got the transfer of keg to bottle.
Yeah.
To shipping, to carbonation in the glass is still great. I'm getting streaming bubbles in my glass still, so carbonation is great. There's still a little bit of foam in my glass. I mean, so it's that extra wheat in there is giving you some head retention. It's a great drinking beer. I think, maybe if Matthew cares to comment on the video when it posts about his yeast choice, that would be great.
Maybe you couldn't get Kolsch.
But it's fantastic. It doesn't have that pillowy softness that Kolsch yeast does.
True.
However, if you're going to fake it, this is great.
Yeah.
This is absolutely great. If you're like us, and you've got friends that aren't beer-style geeks or aficionados, why not call this an Orange Kolsch and say, here, try this Orange Kolsch.
Yeah.
And tell them it's got German ingredients, and I put a little bit of orange in there, and it's super refreshing. And people will go, this is fantastic. I mean, there's no harm.
I love Kolsch.
No harm, no foul.
I love Kolsch. It's funny. I was trying to see if I could pick out any coriander, and I don't think I can. Maybe it's mixing with, the spice, a little bit of spiciness of hops or something. Because like that 10-minute addition of Cascade, I'm not picking up either.
I think on my first taste of it,
Yeah.
I thought I could sense the coriander. But I think it's just mingling so well with the orange addition that it just becomes one note. I think that if anything, the coriander is really helping to drive that orange presence.
I just wonder if he put it into competition and called it a Kolsch, like if he put it in a specialty beer category and called it an Orange Kolsch, would someone say like, well, it's not Kolschy enough?
I think you definitely get.
I got orange, but I don't have the Kolsch.
The Kolsch,
bleh.
Yeah.
I mean, you'd probably get a lot of high scores for other things like appearance and flavor and things like that. But then they'd say like, not Kolschy enough, and just give you tips on how to make a Kolsch.
Yeah.
But there you go. That's that one.
But it's a very good beer.
Yeah, great.
Okay.
I mean, it's summertime. I want more. These little pours, not so great. Okay, so now we're moving on to the cherry. Is it cherry chocolate in that order? Chocolate cherry
cherry porter. This is an extract kit. Okay, that he found in a beer calendar.
Beer calendar?
I wonder what the centerfold was in the calendar. So it's 6 pounds of light DMA, 1 can of cherry puree, which was put in secondary. Specialty grains are 2 pounds of Crystal 60, half a pound of chocolate malt, half a pound of debittered black barley, like a carafa, and half a pound of Carib Hills.
Okay, what about the chocolate? Sorry, did I miss that?
Nope.
That's it.
There's just a 1 ounce addition of Perle hops at 60 minutes. Then at 10 minutes, it gets 1.5 cups of cocoa powder.
Okay, that's what I'm picking up. I was
think
going
the
to say
cocoa aroma is pretty nice.
Yeah, it's there, but then there's you can tell. Like I didn't know if he had ground up nibs or something, because there's a chocolatey grittiness in the flavor and also in the aftertaste. So I was going to wonder if it was like some kind of. But it's cocoa powder. I looked over your shoulder to read that. And
If I let it dry, once I let it dry out in my mouth a little bit, I guess I can sort of sense cocoa powder. I mean, it's not a physical grittiness from physical cocoa powder. It's a flavor that is sort of.
Maybe it's drying on my palate. I think that's what it is.
I'm just trying to be clear for
no.
What you mean by that comment.
Because
there isn't any. Again, this is crystal clear.
It's more of like think of like cocoa powder as it comes out of that tin. It is extremely dry, and I think that's it's leaving kind of like a tannic quality on my palate, and that's what I'm perceiving.
I like it. I like the chocolate.
I'm letting it warm up because I'm not getting any cherry. Now we've talked about, maybe we haven't talked about, maybe it was been off camera, but just the sense of cherry flavor. I mean, you take away all that sweetness, and what are you left with?
I made that cherry wheat. Was it last summer or the summer before? And I put 2 big cans of Oregon cherry puree in there, and I didn't really feel like I got much cherry push out of it. And I think because it was highly fermentable, and I just kind of fermented it away.
And it's hard.
It's interesting.
There's a little bit of it there. It's. I try to get my brain, my stupid lizard brain, to get away from what I think cherry should taste like, which is, to me, cherry pie on Thanksgiving. But you got to think of you got to remove all the sugar that comes along with that taste, and what are you left with? It's more kind of this tangy, flavor that should sit around with all the other things that are going on. He's got a lot of sweet malts, and I'm just trying to get more of the cherry out, I guess.
Yeah.
And it's not there. I'm getting a lot of chocolate, maybe a little bit of perceived cherry, but it's almost like he should have, gone more cherry.
I think it's hard
like
to.
One can, how big was that can? I guess.
I think it's hard to separate the cherry flavor from the 2 pounds of steeped Crystal 60. That in itself is going to give you some sweetness. But the yeast choice.
I saw it. Scottish
ale yeast.
Yeah.
Which is actually a really interesting choice in a porter, because Scottish ale yeast can sometimes create that peaty sense in it. I don't get any of that in this.
No.
It might be somewhere in the dark malts. But let's just talk about this from a standpoint of the base porter.
Yep.
How much porter love do you give this?
I give it pretty high porter love. It might need, you know, a little more roasty character to it.
A little more assertive roast.
Yeah, but
I would almost say don't
it
use
fits.
de-bittered black barley. Just go for the black.
go for the black barley. You know, it's. I'm not going to dig it too much on the porter side. Where I would say
I
this
think it
is not
qualifies as
Kolsch.
what used to be called a brown porter. It's a really comfortable, deep, biscuity
Yeah.
type of brown porter.
I think I'd
I
like
wouldn't
a
call.
little
I
more
wouldn't. I
roast.
wouldn't look at this as a robust porter with
No.
more of a darker, almost you know, with some coffee
Yeah.
edge on it. It doesn't have that.
I
It's
think
more
that
of
would
a,
work well with the chocolate and a little more cherry, then you'd have something. That's all. These are all my opinions. I mean, but that's what I'm perceiving when I taste this. I think that a little more roast. Chocolate, I think, is spot on. I think, did you add that at 10 minutes to go in the boil?
Yep.
You know, just enough to.
I don't know how much 1.5 cups are, but when I've made chocolate porters in the past,
Yeah.
it's been a whole tin.
You just pour it in.
Hershey's,
Yeah.
boom, the whole tin, whatever a standard box tin is, which is probably at least 2 cups of cocoa powder.
Yeah.
Because you know what happens? A lot of it goes in there, and you stir like crazy, and it's boiling.
Yeah.
But a lot of it remains sludge in the kettle. Anyway, so you gotta, you know, you can sort of get some essence up into the boiling wort, and then you get sludge in the thing, and get sludge in the fermenter, but
You're hoping that something gets extracted out of
something
it,
gets
huh?
something gets carried over.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, some of it dissolves, but
Yeah.
cocoa powder itself is not terribly. Even when you make cocoa in the wintertime, at the bottom of the cup,
I know,
even
it's
in a
hard to
boiling
dissolve.
hot, it's
I know.
still in the bottom.
I know,
so
man.
it's tough, man.
I live in New England. I don't know if you know that.
Oh.
I've made some cocoa in my day.
I see.
Yeah, sometimes it's spiked with, you know, whipped cream.
Whatever it takes.
Yeah.
Whatever it takes.
All right. Well, look at this. Another successful beer swap.
Thank you so much,
And so wait a minute.
Matthew.
You gave him the Nordic ale to get this?
Yes.
That's not even a good swap.
No, it's not a good swap.
I hope he enjoyed that.
Yes.
But 2 good beers from Wrecked Brewing.
Which
Wrecked Brewery.
At last
Prepare
check,
to get wrecked.
Matthew is from Pennsylvania,
Oh, there you go. Not too far away from us.
not too far away.
So, all right. Thanks. Appreciate the swap.
Cheers.
We got to figure this out. We got to do another swap at some point, right?
Mhm,
All right. Well, we'll work on that. Maybe in the fall into the winter we'll get something going. All right. For John and Mike, brew-dudes.com. Brew on.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, you're starting because you have the
I know.
information.
Oh,
Well, I can start if that's the way we're going to do it. All right.
okay. All right. We've only done 200 videos.
200 plus. Hey, it's John and Mike, brew-dudes.com.